We'll give everybody a few minutes to kind of wander in here. Always going to have a brightness problem. Need to hang a frickin'. It'd be too hot. I don't know. Get some kind of a shade or something I can pop up. So what's up, everybody? Make sure to turn the brightness down on your screens. I know it's a lame joke. I use it all the time. That's warm. So I was actually able to hardwire here. They had the outlet for the Ethernet cable completely hidden. Not completely hidden because otherwise I wouldn't be able to see it. But I thought, you know what? There's a cover panel back there. I wonder what this is. And it was Ethernet. And Ethernet actually, I like turtles. I have anti-glare. Yeah, hopefully it's strong. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that I'm actually connected through Ethernet. Otherwise, this would be a terrible stream. I'm in Garden City, Kansas, and it's a nice hotel, but I'm clear at the on the bottom floor at the very end, at the end of the building across from the office where I imagine that the router is. So, Ginger Princess, that might work. Got some pretty cool earrings coming in. Let's see. Doing this partly to help keep me awake a little bit because it was a pretty long day. We just got back from supper. Normally we get to supper a little bit earlier than this, but I didn't look at a whole bunch of bridges today, but we drove around forever looking at them. We drove probably 400, 420, somewhere between 400 and 425 miles today. And space it. Oh, my earrings delivered today. Heckin' sweetness. I won't spoil it, but I'm going to have to drill my pink badger now. So that's all I'm saying. Yeah, 10 bridges. We looked at 10 bridges a day and drove 400 and some odd miles to look at them. So they're pretty small. Well, that's unfortunate. Oh, well. This coffee machine got that water awful hot. I'm drinking tea, but it's instead of like microwaving stuff in here, if you just use the coffee machine without any coffee grounds in it to heat the water up, it makes really good tea. Life hack. So I'm probably not going to be on for too long, but I just wanted to hop on and do one of these and touch base. And it looks like everybody liked my Zen video. So that was kind of more of a happy accident. We've been collecting global stuff. We've actually got quite a few. I had to have a Zen. I wanted a volatility torque because Jillian Martin's been throwing hers all the time, and Simo threw his on TV on Sunday. And it looked pretty good despite the little issue he had. But so I had a Zen, got a volatility torque, been starting to collect some older global stuff too that I always kind of wanted but wasn't able to throw. But no, I don't want to do that. Like the Volt Solid, Volt Pearl. We got a couple Volt Solids. We got a Volt Pearl. Got a Flux and a Flux Pearl because Sean Rash was throwing those all the time, the orange ones, and I really wanted those. Angel Angel just likes the Badgers, and so she wanted a White Hot Badger. She's got a what's the other honey badger she's got? She's got another badger. Then I've got a pink badger. She got the eagle. No, she doesn't have a money badger, I don't think. She wanted one. She doesn't have a money badger. Well, we've got quite a few global balls, and you know, I've told people, yeah, that's my bedtime reminder at 8:30 p.m. Central. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to drill my pink badger because of the earrings that I just got today. So I got little pink paw print earrings that are going to go perfect with a pink badger. So, but again, they're not sending me global balls for review, and it's really, even though I've got a lot of balls that are on the rack to drill, you know, I've got a bunch of stuff that's on the wish list to drill. That I've been waiting on. I just can't bring myself to go out of my way to drill new stuff when I've got plenty of great stuff already drilled that I'm not throwing, plus a bunch of stuff ready to drill. And there's just really no reason for it other than to make a video. And I just don't really want to, number one, spend money on a ball just to make a video, just to have it sit around. So logistically speaking, it just doesn't work out. So I might touch on the Randy Peterson Simo thing again. That could be fun. But I couldn't ignore the Zen any longer because it's been on back order since it released. I mean, it's just, it released, and number one, it's one of the coolest names out there. The ball looks ridiculously cool, and it's really, really good. And so you see all kinds of people throwing it. The pros have thrown it quite a bit, and I've only heard maybe a couple people say, I didn't quite match up with it, but they still agree. It's like, oh yeah, I don't know why it didn't work out for me, but it looks great for everybody else. So I mean, it's just one of the most popular balls that I've ever seen, period. I mean, we've had a few that people have gone nuts for, and then, you know, something else new comes out and everything dies down. I don't think that's going to happen with this one. I think, like, again, we're still going to be talking about 5 years from now. And so we just ordered a half ball, and we just ordered a ball at one of the half display balls, and you can't pick which ones you get. You just order a half ball and they send you whatever they have. And it happened to be a Zen half ball, which just looks amazing. And so I wanted one of those anyway. And so then it's been so popular. I thought, you know what, I have to do people have been asking about global reviews, and I really wanted to drill one anyway. And so it was just the perfect storm, perfect excuse, whatever else, to go on ahead and drill it. And it's great. I mean, it's just, between that and kind of discovering the Insight, really, I threw it to begin with. And I'm like, well, this is too on top of my Omega, and I don't really use my Omega that much. And then I took it out a few times to league, and I'm like, okay, well, it handles angle a little bit better, whatever. It's still a little too strong. And then I get a little bit more use on it. I'm like, I mean, this is pretty good. And then James comes to town and throws his for the entire weekend. And I'm like, wow, that looks really good. I probably ought to put more effort into this. And then I take it out and we do the report card. And I mean, I'm going to take my IQs and my ProMotion bag, and then Zen and Insight and whatever else happens to go in there. But man, so yeah, the Insight's not getting a whole lot of attention, but it looks like a 10-year-old Columbia ball. So that's a little unfortunate, but it's not getting a whole lot of attention, but it's good too. It's one that people are going to be upset when that gets discontinued prematurely, because it just doesn't have the shelf appeal of a Zen, for example. So I'm really interested in the RSTX1 Squad. Yeah, that one looks really good, and the RST is amazing. So it's a little unfortunate that's overseas, but we're going to get more RSTs here stateside. I don't think anybody's going to worry about that. The reality is one that I'm not going to be able to avoid for very long either, because everybody's throwing that. Everybody really likes that, and so the honey badger intensity is, speaking of what Charwall said, it's gaining traction pretty quickly already too. So yeah, I've got a Go Staffer guy on the Insight too. It's and this is considering that I was iffy, and I'm sure that you could hear it on the review, but I was iffy about it. It's like, I mean, it's on top of the Omega. I don't get it, whatever else. And Angel didn't really like hers that much, and so I was ready to just kind of pass on it and move on. And then see a few things, and I take it out. I'm like, well, let's give it a chance. Let's try it out here, and then it kind of gains momentum, and it kind of grew on me. So it's not one of those things. It's not one of those staffer guys think, yeah, I swear it looks like a 10-year-old. I mean, it looks like a baller or like one of those old ebonite balls or something that are just depressing, but it smells amazing. It smells like cherry Dr. Pepper. So, I mean, it smells great. When it shines up, it actually looks quite a bit better than it does, because it does have some shimmering in it. And, once you get some shine on it and get that, either polish it or do something, but it looks a whole lot cooler. It smells great. Man, it's really good. I'm going to start using it quite a bit. Lefty throwing ASIMs. Yeah, I know. And playing like third or fourth arrow with them. What do you think about the purple idol? I'm probably going to have one, even though it's overseas. I've got a problem, but yeah. The insight is, I think you just have to, and you say that you like the colors. It does. Once it shines up a little bit, it looks pretty good. It looks a whole lot better than it does dull. That's for sure. But yeah, I think take a chance on the. I need to turn the air up in here. I'm sweltering. Who's got the heat on? Are you kidding me? What in the board is this? Man, there's some warm-blooded people up in this heck. Somebody had the heater on at 72 in this room last. Yeah, we got problems, abundance of problems. Bowling, you want all the balls. That's our problem. Is that I've got so much stuff. We both got so much stuff on the to drill pile. Oh my God, I lost the camera again. It can't find me. I'm too white. We actually figured out that that's the problem. I would think that giving the darker background for a change, that the camera would be able to find me. So, you a big believer in the difference in cover color, because the idle purple is the same as the OG. I think it's going to react really similar, because the magenta does kind of have some purple in it, I think, or maybe not. I don't know. Kind of the same, kind of similar shades. I think reddish colors actually hook more. But Angel's green idol reacted a lot like the pink magenta idol. So she says her green's earlier than the purple one, so, or the magenta one. Purple idol should probably be a little bit cool, or yeah, a little bit smoother, but yeah, it does look freaking sweet. So. So yeah, it's really unfortunate. I really want to drill my phase tour, but I don't need a phase tour, and I could sell it right now for probably $500 shipped, and so that hurts. That stings a little bit. That's doing a little heckin' hesitation. Especially since I just drilled an OG phase grip. I got a Zen. I really still like my idle synergy. I throw my ProMotion a ton. I don't get to use my RST enough. I've kind of rediscovered my insight. I've got my phase 0 sitting down there. I still have an Astro that I don't ever get to throw. There's just way too many. Which idle I make a new one? Yeah, there's a purple one coming out overseas. It's just a purple version of the original. Where do you get all your overseas bowling balls from? Yeah, phase flow. That sell the phase tour. Yeah, I could trade that for 2 or 3 other, plus my pink IQs and pink Badger, and we got pink Hustles. We got one of them anyway. Overseas bowling balls mostly from SRG BBFS, but we do have a dealer now, so it's that bad. So yeah, and I don't get to throw my RST enough, and I threw that in a tournament and made some money with it a couple weeks ago. And so it's just, I have all the bowling balls, but I can't throw all the bowling balls. First world problems, right? So yeah, I'm going again next week if the other pink hustle isn't there. Yeah, we submitted something to USPS, so we'll get it sorted out one way or another. Again, we have plenty of bowling balls, so it's a bad thing if you have a dealer. Yeah, unfortunately, we have to say that we have a dealer now, so need more hands. I can't stand them being so irresponsible. It's disgusting. Yeah, USPS is not the greatest. I should have a Marvel Max Impact. Yeah, Angel's got a couple yellow Badger spare balls. If you haven't seen those, they're bright yellow Badger spare balls. I have a Marvel Max Impact coming too, which is the centripetal core or the Marvel core with a shiny NEX solid on it. That's going to be amazing. Doing a heckin' unfortunate. I'm probably not drilling an intensity anytime soon. We do have one coming. Angel really wants one. She likes the Honey Badger line. Is that the one that you posted in Discord a couple days ago? Yeah, getting a Marvel Max Impact. Impact delivered yesterday, so yes, I've got that to kind of drool over when I get home and not put holes in. But probably no more global balls for a little bit. I really want to drill that Ordnance C4 because it looks really, really good too. But global's quietly making, aside from the Zen, but the rest of the stuff, there's some stuff getting discontinued that's really disappointing because the aspect was really good, but it's kind of like that navy and orange that didn't really work out on the MVP either. I think the volatility torque's gone already, and it was great. Jillian Martin threw it all the time. Simo was throwing it on the TV show on Sunday. And I think the afterburners are getting discontinued too. And those are a few of the true good low-end balls that are out right now. A lot of the other stuff, we have the Electrifies and the Hustles, but they're more IQ Tour style stuff. So they're not really true low-end. I mean, the best low-end ball that we have right now is the High Road Pearl, and it's still a little too strong even then. So yeah, we need to. So when are we getting a Rosedal Museum of Balls? I've done that a couple times. I've actually shown off the collection a few times, but could probably do a specific collection tour instead of throwing that into a live stream or something. I could show off some of my gems and whatever else. And again, first world problems, but yeah, hopefully the Zen and Reality get more attention to 900 global stuff. Yeah, I think they're going to be hard to ignore. And the Honey Badger Intensity, I think, is going to, because it looks nothing like the shot on the website. It looks like it's kind of this pale orange and navy looking thing. No, it's pink. It is pink and navy, and it looks amazing. And it reacts pretty good too, so. Yeah, if the used Max SE doesn't end up working out, then you might have a new one coming your way. She really likes her Max SE, and I need to throw my Marvel Max Force more because it's pretty good too. So, yeah, I think the Zen's going to do it's been doing some big things for global, and that's also the reason that we have 8 balls in the Roto line right now, 3 of those being Hustles. So, the Zen's pushed back several releases. Schlim wouldn't have discontinued the HP2 stuff so soon if he'd have realized it was going to be an extra 2 or 3 months before they could catch up on Zen production. Compare the Honey Badger Intensity to Storm Roto. Let me see what the Honey Badgers are kind of in the lines of like High Roads. So depending on the core, because they had the grapnel, the Honey Badgers have had a couple different cores in them. They had a symmetric core, and then they had an asymmetric core in them too. But I think that they're very High Road-esque. So let me look up the Honey Badger Intensity. The website. Yeah, this is actually pretty cool. All plugged in here. Yeah, they've already taken that stuff off the website. So Global only has 5 balls in production right now. The Reality, the Zen, the Ordnance, the Revival, and the Intensity. So let me see. The Intensity is asymmetric, so and it's fairly strong actually. It's 254, 048, 012, which is different, and that's kind of what I like about some of the global stuff, is that they did some different stuff. I think the fluxes were kind of that weaker asymmetric thing, and then the volts were kind of along the lines of the high road. And so yeah, 254 it's like a higher RG Insight or Rubicon or something like that. So it's a mild asymmetric, but with a very middling RG. It's not high road high, but it's more like MVP. If you remember the Rocket series, the 2.54, 2.5355, kind of in that medium zone. So it's going to be along the lines again of Rubicon Insight, but even a little bit higher RG. So it's going to get down the lane a little bit easier. So there's really nothing to compare the intensity to, because it's not quite like anything else that we have. So I would have to say it's Rubicon-esque, but gets down the lane easier. It doesn't wind up or rev up quite as quickly. So it's somewhere between a Rubicon and like a High Road Max. It's got S70 solid cover. And again, the global covers don't really tell me anything, because the number in it just kind of indicates cover strength. But like I was saying on the Zen review, there's a big difference between R4S strong and NEX strong, because R4S is strong, but it's still a cleaner, more responsive, reactive cover stock, where NEX is a very strong nano cover stock. So it's going to be earlier and diggier and smoother, where R4S is strong, but it still wants to be responsive and sharper. So just the S70 or S74 or whatever else, it just doesn't tell me anything. So I don't know what the actual Storm formula base of it is. So, but yeah, I mean, if you look, they have the video that's the Honey Badger Intensity 4 approaches. You look at the ball photo, and it's this ugly looking kind of navy and very washed out, kind of pinkish reddish looking thing. But then you look at the ball photo for the video, and it's pink and dark purple, and it looks amazing. So yeah. What roto ball do you want to come back? It'd have to be a Daredevil, probably. The No Rules Pearl was pretty good, but we have some, you shine up an Omega Crux, and that's basically what you're looking at. And the Insight, actually, you shine up one of those. It's a little bit more aggressive No Rules Pearl, but it's got the same overall shape. So the Daredevil was pretty unique, but they're kind of slowly improving on some things. Like if you shined up an Ordnance C4, you basically have a Daredevil. Let me see. What are I seem to think that there was something here recently that I really liked. But they keep putting out things that are kind of a little bit better and a little bit better, or a little bit more versatile, or something like that. So it's hard to really miss anything. Actually, the Idol might actually be it, because it was really good, but I don't throw it very often. I probably should throw it a lot more than I do, because it's kind of shapes like my Pro Motion. It's just a little bit stronger. So still have an OG Rocket. Can the trim be a 4-ball? I think so. It'd be at the very high end of being a 4-ball, but it's just a little bit stronger than an IQ type emerald type ball, which I would say is a 4-ball. Any chance the High Road's getting axed anytime soon? No, not a chance. The High Road's going to be around for a while. What's your favorite ball? I think it has to be the Pro Motion right now. The Zen's gonna do some work, but the Pro Motion, I think, is my favorite ball of all time. So FF7 or Dragon Quest? Well, I never played Dragon Quest, so it would probably have to be FF7. Any 300 games yet? With what? With the Zen? I just drilled it the other day, so no, nothing for that, if that's what you mean. So, oh yeah, the Idol, go with you to Nationals. Have you ever used a code black? Yep, I have a review up for it, actually, a very ancient review. But yes, I used a code black, and I also have my high sanction series with the code 0, which is a code black, basically, with different color, with better colors, and a better scent. So, the whole, going back to the Randy Simo thing, I'm just a ginger sitting in a hotel room yapping. But I think when you're in the heat of the moment and you're live and you can't really, um, I think that people would say that the pros are privileged to be in the situation that they're in, but I think Simo's anything but privileged. I mean, if you watch that the Flow Bowling documentary, he had a really crazy rough life growing up, and so privilege is about the last thing that Simo is. But I think it's just one of those words that you use to kind of describe somebody that's acting spoiled. Is just spoiled, privileged. He was not necessarily saying that Simo is privileged, but it was a poor choice of words. But it was just the attitude that I think he was trying to get at, or just kind of what Randy was kind of getting at. Was he was just kind of acting spoiled, privileged, whatever else, and he didn't necessarily mean that Simo was privileged. He was trying to describe the actions or how he was acting. So definitely a poor choice of words, though. And I think Randy probably could have backed off of it a little bit, because it ended up being the Simo's throwing a fit show instead of the Larson is destroying everything show. I think that Simo was generally frustrated, and like I've seen several back and forths on Facebook, and Simo kind of needs to be that negative, kind of sarcastic, chirpy, diggy. That's just his thing. That's just his element. He needs to kind of chirp a little bit to kind of get in the zone, or um, get himself riled up or ready to go, or something. But Randy definitely talked about it too long. And there was a lot of people that said on Facebook too, it's like, well, if you're a bowler and you haven't complained about the lanes or haven't complained about the racks, I've done my fair share of complaining about racks, and I re-rack quite often. Yeah, he needs to be annoyed to get going. It's just like Pete Weber. Like, if he's not mad, like, he's done some really ridiculous stuff or complained about really ridiculous stuff just to get himself riled up so that he can, go Super Saiyan or whatever. That's kind of his thing. So I think Simo's the same way. Is he needs to get upset. He needs to get riled up about something. But like people were saying on Facebook, it's like, okay, well, are you even a real bowler if you haven't complained about the lanes or the racks or said you're going to quit? I mean, are you do you even bowl, right? So I mean, I think that's just the thing. I think he was, but it does come off bad to some people, and it does make you feel generally uncomfortable, both who he's bowling against, and especially since Thomas Larson he kind of has that international bowler demeanor where they're quite a bit more calm and whatever else. Jesper doesn't get very riled up. Don Barrett definitely doesn't get riled up. Sam Cooley is a stone. The international players, Joseph Frankie, just are a little bit more even keel, relaxed, whatever else. They don't really get fired up. The American players are more the ones that they get angry and have to chirp and get all pumped up and fired up and everything else. And that's just more of an American thing. But it does kind of feel uncomfortable when you're watching there and somebody's being negative and chirpy and it's kind of like, oh crap, sorry. I mean, just get this over with and we'll get out of here. So our speed and revs overrated. I only throw the ball about 15 miles an hour, but when I throw it right, the pins generally fall. I mean, Norm Duke. I mean, the guys walked it down the side. Norm Duke and Walter Ray are the two winningest players ever, and they walk it down the side. So I wouldn't say that they're overrated, but accuracy and knowing how to bowl is more important than somebody can throw pins around. What do you practice anytime you go bowling? Generally, I don't practice spares a whole bunch, which I probably should. I practice on getting a good roll on the bowling ball and trying to work on different shapes and angles more than anything. Trying to be as physically versatile as possible. Because most of the time, if you can make those little physical adjustments to turn a flat 7 into a kick 7, or a flat 10 into a kick 10, or a stone 4 into a trip 4, then those are the types of things that add an extra 10 or 15 pins to your average. So yeah, are you even a bowler if you just left a ball at the center or whipped it in the parking lot or thrown it in the river? I gave a ball away at league on Thursday. So I mean, yeah, and there's plenty of guys that have just thrown their entire bags in the river. So it's one of those things. It's like, if something just doesn't work for you, whatever, or if you're pissed or upset, or just, yeah, I don't think I've ever, no, I've thrown balls in the dumpster before. There's been a couple balls I threw in the dump, but yeah, the Hustle Pro, I wanted to like it so much, and it was the Hustle Pro and the Hustle Say are the first two Hustles that came out. And I was really, really excited about them because they were stronger, more performance, lower end balls. And the Pro was awful. I mean, it was just bad for me. A lot of other people liked it, but it was just awful, awful, terrible, ridiculous. And so I actually intentionally cracked it. So I took a flathead screwdriver and a hammer, and I started at the finger hole, and I kind of tapped a crack into it, and I left it on a wood rack in the back of the pro shop, and it started cracking. And so over the course of the next week and a half, I got to watch it die, and I was incredibly pleased with myself. And then I got to go throw it in the dumpster out back. So doing a heckin' vindictive. Yeah, if you practice for score, that isn't practice. I haven't practiced with the scorers on, and I can't remember the last time. Because you don't need score to see carry. And if you are getting good carry, if you're lined up right and you're throwing pins around, whatever else, you don't need the score to tell you up there, a numerical representation of what you're getting done. Because if you're throwing strike after strike after strike, and you're kicking the corners, and you're tripping the 4s or the 6s, or getting a little sweeper or messenger that comes across and kicks out a drive-by 9 or a drive-by 8, depending on what side of the lane that you're on. You know that you're going to be scoring well. So people that get all worked up about or wound up about scores say, "Oh, I was out practicing the other day, and I was a stone 9 away from 300 or a 279 or something like that." And it's like, well, I mean, the score doesn't matter, really. I mean, if it was a good shot, then you don't need to be disappointed about the score. You can be good about, throwing a bunch of strikes and having, one bad break on a shot that you probably threw a little bit too good. Because most of the time, for righties leaving a drive-by 9 or lefties leaving a drive-by 8, that kind of means that you threw it a little bit too good. So that's not a bad thing. It sucks on the scoreboard, but it's really not a bad thing. It's not fun frying, asked Riley, which is really funny because Riley doesn't fry. Riley is also one of those very even keel, whatever, it's bad break, I'll fix it next time, or whatever else. He's he's very calm and even keel, but that day was just a perfect storm of everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And then he came back and popped his ball and didn't quite hit it square. So it was just the perfect end to the perfect day, basically. What ball that you gave away? I gave away my original Axiom. So it was the first ball that I drilled lefty when I started again. I did the review on it, and the problem that I had with it was more layout than anything, but NEX Solid is a little too quick or flippy for how strong it is. And that orbital core is very kind of directional, like the Icon core and the Idols are, but NEX blends the lane a little bit less than something like the original Idol. So where the original Idols kind of like to straighten out a little bit. If you get behind them, they want to straighten out and kind of go in the direction of the roll. Well, the orbital core kind of wants to do that too. So if I get up the back of it, it will kind of stand up or straighten out. But I kind of have to get up the back of it a little bit just to get that ball down the lane. And so there's not a whole lot of directional forgiveness. And so I've tried it and tried it and tried it and worked with it, and it just, especially with that layout on it, if I went with something a little bit more continuous, which that 4.5-inch pin that I have on my Zen, I really, really like that. So I'm thinking that if I were to drill one differently, I probably like it a little bit more. It's one of those things where when I drill an idle, I know that it's going to be a little bit straighter off the end of the pattern. So I know that going in, but when you have a new core, it's like, well, I don't really know what this is going to do yet. And so now that I know, next time I drill one of those cores, I'm going to know what I need to do with it to kind of make it work better for me. So it just didn't quite work out, but it's a little too strong, it's a little too flippy, it's a little bit too directional. So it was just kind of a combination of a bunch of things that didn't really work out that well. So it's just, I mean, people that really love the Axiom. I mean, the pros have been throwing it all the time. Belmo won a major with it and whatever else. So, I mean, and that's the thing is that I really appreciate about a lot of you watching now. And I think it's something that I intended and hoped for, that when I make my reviews that I don't have, opinions in there, or where I'm, oh, this ball's really good, or you should go get it, or this ball's not really that great, I wouldn't buy this one. I can tell you that I don't like a ball or it doesn't work out for me while still describing the ball reaction and still not putting people off of it. Because obviously there's a handful of balls that haven't worked out for me, but there's a lot of people that say, well, I really like it, or I really like the look of it, I'm still going to go get it. And that's the idea, is that just because I like it or don't like it, my opinion doesn't matter at all. My views on the ball reaction or my descriptions of the ball reaction is what matters. The ball reaction matters. And if it's something that's not going to work out for you, even if I like it, cool. If it's something that is going to work out for you, even if I don't like it, then that's great too. But that's kind of the intent, is to just and have people say something like that. Like I can say, the Axiom didn't work out for me, I gave it away. And there's a bunch of people in the chat saying, well, I really like mine, I'm still going to get one. And so it's like, yes, that's cool. I'm not saying it's obviously not a bad ball. It's just that core, I haven't, now that I know what it does, I can go a little different direction laying it out next time, especially if it has NEX on it again. So it's a little different depending on the cover. But now that we've had a few NEX balls, now that we've had a couple orbital core balls, now I really understand kind of what's going on with both that cover and core. And so going forward, it's going to make it a whole lot easier to dial it in correctly. So, and that's what I also hope to do with the reviews too, is try to save everybody from, I'm kind of the guinea pig, so to speak, for a lot of this stuff. So I can say, okay, well, this core seems like it's a straighter core like the Idol, or in this core, this cover is is strong, but it's also flippier than something like an idle. So it rolls like an idle with a little bit more shape. And so I can kind of describe exactly what you're going to be looking at so that you have more information, a better idea whether it's going to work for you or not, number one, or what to do with it if you do want to buy it. So that's my intent with all the reviews. It's not, it's not selling bowling balls, because obviously if you're bowling, you're going to be buying bowling balls. So there's no reason to talk you into a specific one or to try to hype everything up or whatever. That's why we have 30 some odd balls in the catalog. It's like you got plenty of stuff to choose from. You're going to buy something. So I mean, what's it matter which one you buy? That's not every ball's a must-have ball. Best replacement for an Idle Pro? That's a good question. Actually, probably if you mirror shine an Axiom, because those cores act very similar. The NEX Solid is a lot stronger than E-Trax Solid. So the cover stock that's on the Axiom is a lot stronger than the Idle Pro cover. But generally speaking, the reaction shape is pretty close. So you're going to need to shine up an Axiom and get a handful of games on it, but that's definitely going to be the closest that you're going to get. The on-lane shape's very similar. Ball rolls are very similar. And once you do shine up that, Axiom, the friction response is going to be pretty similar. It's just the Axiom is going to be a couple boards stronger. But I think that's definitely the as far as hook potential goes, the Rubicon, if you shined up a Rubicon, it's a little rounder and a little slower than the Idle Pro, because the Idle Pro popped pretty good. And when you lane shine a Rubicon, it still manages to be a little smoother, rounder. The Idle Pro was still it had a rounder shape, but it was still pretty quick on friction. So maybe a shined up Rubicon would be close, but it's still a little bit more torque, firmness. It's not quite as, it's really difficult to explain, but the Axiom is probably overall going to be closer to an Idle Pro, because the Rubicon's still going to have that torque down lane that the Idle Pro doesn't have, being that it's a symmetric versus an ASIM. So the Axiom's probably realistically the closer of the two from an overall package standpoint. How do you like the Hustle PBR? Again, I think if I drilled it a little bit differently, I liked it okay, but it was way too strong. And at the point when I was throwing it, there's a lot of balls that I've come back around to that I didn't really like the first time I threw them. But now that I've gotten better on the left side, I'm kind of using them again. So every once in a while, that's what's kind of like the Axiom thing. It's like, well, I like it, but I haven't really been throwing it that great, and so I needed to try it out again, and then I'd circle back to it and come back to it again. And so there's several balls that I wish I'd have given another chance to before I let them go or something like that. But the Hustle PBR it's pretty good, and actually we've got a couple Hustle Pinks, which are just a polished PBR that's pink, which more importantly, they're pink. So I don't think that the PBR or the wrap are going to get discontinued anytime soon. The next one that's probably going to get discontinued is the AU, but the PBR and the wrap are solid. I mean, they're definitely the best bang for your buck on the market by a long shot. I mean, Frankie was throwing one on TV. If he wouldn't have been throwing the Phase 2, he would have been throwing the PBR. And if pros are throwing low-end balls like that, you don't see Electrifies on TV. You don't see any other low-end ball from any other company out there. But, pros are throwing the wrap because it's legit. So, or the PBR, I mean. And the wrap is like a baby Idle Pearl. So, plus it's pretty. So, yeah. What's a good ball from Storm Umbrella for burn? They don't really have anything that's great for burn right. The best one's probably the High Road Pearl, and it's still strong-ish. I think once you get If you drilled a high road pearl a little bit weaker, like my high road T that I had, I drilled it pinned down, so it was something like 4 5/8 pin to pat, but it was like a 70 val angle or something. So it raised the RG and it lowered the differential, which the RGs on those are already really high. So it just kind of loped and rolled off the end of the pattern. It needed friction to do something or get going, but man, I had some crazy good sets and games with it, especially the final games, the tournaments, when you're getting into the end of an 8 game sweeper, and people are starting to fall off game 7 and 8 because the lanes are getting crispy, and I'm still shooting 230 and 240 those last couple games. That helps out a lot. How often do you use your spinner on your bowling balls? What I mean is, do you lightly resand ball after each use? Just put the not resurface, but just put the surface back on it. On the sanded stuff, I like to use the React-A-Scuff quite a bit because it kind of keeps it at that 3,000 to 4,000 grit surface. So it gives it a very deep clean too without really resurfacing it. So I really like the React-A-Scuff. That stuff is great. So, but generally speaking, the shiny stuff I don't ever touch. I mean, my wife will clean them. She cleans hers a little bit more religiously than I clean mine, but I kind of like to muddy them up a little bit. So I do wipe the oil off pretty religiously, but I don't like touching the surface or even really cleaning stuff that much. I kind of like a muddier, smoother, blendier look, and so if I keep them too clean, they're a little too crispy. So, but the spinner is, yes, for my IQ Tour Nano Pearl, I like it with a little bit of surface on it. My ProMotion I hit every once in a while. I need to hit my IQ Tour Solid. But I use the React-A-Scuff quite a bit. All right, well, I'm probably going to let you all go here. This was nice that there's actually the Wi-Fi didn't suck after all, because I'm not even on the Wi-Fi. If I was on the Wi-Fi, it would be sucking though. So really appreciate everybody hanging out. I'm going to go take off and head to bed because it was a long day, and it's going to be a long day again tomorrow. Yeah, we drove all over the place. We started in Hayes, then we drove up, kind of zigzag up, hitting a bridge here and there, because we're doing some different inspections this week. We have different districts and different areas within those districts inside the state, and all of them are on different inspection cycles. Like the regular inspection cycles every 2 years, but we have some bridges that are in worse condition that need to be looked at once a year, and then we have others that only need to be looked at every 4 years, and then we have some special inspections on some other ones. And so this week we're kind of out chasing around all the ones that we only look at once a year, and those are spread pretty few and far between. So we'll look at one and then have to drive 45 minutes to an hour to the next one, and then it's an hour to the next one, and they're just kind of spread out all over the place. So we only looked at 10 bridges today, but we drove 400 miles. So very long day, and we're going to drive a lot tomorrow and look at about the same amount of bridges. But it's a long week, and I was just trying to do this more to obviously I like hanging out, answering questions, and talking to everybody, but I'm really trying to stay awake for just a little bit longer so that I don't wake up at 3 a.m. or something. So appreciate everybody. Thanks for all the very positive feedback on the Zen video. That was a lot of fun to make, and that all kind of came together. I'm a state bridge inspector, Colin. So I travel all over, and I'm a full-time travel person. So we start going out in early February, and we get done with everything about Thanksgiving, but I'm out on the road traveling every single week of the year. So yeah, we spent a bunch of time mountain goating all over bridges and driving all over the state. So we normally drive, especially when we're out in western Kansas, because the office is in Topeka, and I'm in Topeka, which is very eastern Kansas. And so we're out in Garden City right now, which is 5-hour drive from Topeka, but we got here by way of Hayes and then the geographic center of the United States, and then we drove over here, and then we drove down here, and then we drove back here, and then we drove all the way down, and all the way west. We're going to be almost in Colorado tomorrow, and then all the way back up in Hayes. So it's probably going to be another 300, 400 mile day. So we're probably going to put in 4 days, we're probably going to put about 1,400 miles on the vehicle. So, but it's kind of fun and it's kind of cool. I do wish I was in, home a little bit more often. Like if I was out every other week or something, that'd be probably like that a little bit better, but this is okay. And we get to travel a decent amount, and we find cool places to eat and cool breweries. We're going to be in Dodge City, Kansas, kind of famous. We're going to be in Dodge City and down in southwestern Kansas. There's a pretty big Mexican population community, whatever you want to say, but man, they've got some amazing Mexican restaurants in Dodge City, and they got this place that's got the best salsa I've ever had. And so I normally bring back, they sell salsa by the gallon there. So I usually go buy a bunch of salsa and take it back home, and we eat it as absolutely as fast as we can. So, but anyway, thanks a bunch, everybody. We will talk to you next time. I do have actual report card videos coming out next weekend for the Insight, the Parallax Effect, and the High Road Max. I actually need to write those tomorrow night, and I will put those together at some point Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, something like that. So, for the longest time I thought you were on the road because you're storm staff on the higher chain. Yeah, no, I'm a ball video guy. And it's exactly as exotic as it sounds. Give us your boss's number. We can make the every week. Nah. No, unfortunately, this is kind of just the name of the game. It's still it's a state job, so it's still not. I mean, we're busy, and these this week is a little bit longer and tougher than they normally are. But still, we have a decent amount of resources, and of course, they're always safety first. If you need anything, don't do anything stupid. Don't drive yourself too crazy. We just, we all want to get the job done, but we all want to get home and not, ruin ourselves at the same time. So it's a pretty good job. I like it quite a bit, even though it's outside and I'm a freaking ginger. I got sunburned yesterday. I'm a little red around the collar about that. Get it? That's a joke, man. All right, I'm signing off. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to finish my fabulous dandelion tea here. And we're signing off from Garden City. We're going to be back in Hayes again tomorrow night, and then got some fun stuff this weekend. So I know they make sunscreen. I actually wore quite a bit of it today. But yesterday we were only out of the truck for like 5 or 10 minutes at a time, and it was kind of overcast and whatever, and the sun came out a little bit later in the afternoon. And then we got on that last one. I'm like, wow, the sun got a little bit warm today, and it was my neck that was warm. So anyway, thanks, everybody. We'll see you later. Yeah, Discord, continue the chat there. Yeah, if everybody wants to keep talking about stuff, go over to my Discord. Angel dropped the link in the chat. So thanks a bunch, everybody. We will talk to you later.